Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. We're going to look at the last couple of days of March. I guess I could have added this to last week's, but enough happened last week, all on its own. And there's only a couple of things really sort of worth digging into today, so I think this is going to be a short one. But I do want to say that March has been pretty intense. And pretty interesting. So we'll start with Tuesday, March 28th, 2023. It's not that things don't happen Sunday and Monday. It's just that there's no major aspects. And we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter at 13 degrees of Aries. The conjunction between any two planets is the start of a synodic cycle. And a synodic cycle is the time that it takes for two planets to go from conjunction to conjunction. Mercury and Jupiter are generally a year synodic cycle. And Mercury and Jupiter have a special relationship with each other for a number of reasons. Number one, Mercury and Jupiter rule the axis of Gemini and Sagittarius. The axis of Gemini and Sagittarius is the axis of the mind. And so when we have a conjunction, we can perhaps see that our mind, our right brain, which is Jupiter ruled, and our left brain, which is Mercury ruled, is on the same page. And that page is the Aries page. That day vibrates to a 3811. That is the Queen of Cups. So it is a very psychic day. And of course, it's an 11 day, so we're expected to keep a high vibration on those double-digit days. And we also have on that day a first quarter moon, the moon being in Cancer, and the sun in Aries. That is a crisis in action on the new moon that we just had a couple of days ago, 7 days ago, actually. At 1 degree of Aries. So we're moving on with this. And it really is, Aries is the I am, and Cancer is a security archetype, emotional security, family security, money is, would be a concern here. Anything that concerns the family and the survival of the family would come with this energy. And so we will find that people are concerned about their own survival. And of course, here in the US and all over the world, there's questions about us surviving ourselves, really, what it comes down to. On Thursday, March 30th, we have two major things happening. We have a waxing trine between Mars and Saturn. Waxing means growing. Waxing trines have the energy of Leo, so they're creatively self-expressive. This is occurring at 3 degrees of Cancer and Pisces. And while trines are not necessarily energies that force you to do something, they are opportunities for support. And when we're dealing with Mars and Saturn, this is support for moving forward, And this is actually part of a three-time trine between Mars and Saturn, because Mars and Saturn had two trines previous, with Mars in Gemini. Remember, Gemini spent all that time retrograde. And so Mars in Gemini and Saturn in Aquarius. And now it's moved into the next two signs, which are water signs. So the expression, or in the other two, it was the flow of information, right? But this is the flow of feeling, the flow of water, right? Emotions. And then we also have on the same day Venus conjunct Uranus at 17 degrees Taurus. So let's take a look at both of these, all three of these things that are happening. Here we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. It's at 19 degrees of Aries. And this is a synodic cycle in the way that we think, the way that we process information, and how we take that information that we process and that we gather, and how we sort of process it into a more holistic and broader perspective. And the seed of this is 19 of Aries, which says the magic carpet of Oriental imagery. And you can see up here in the right-hand corner, I have a little magic carpet. And it says the use of creative imagination, a strife transcending and unattached look upon everyday reality. Isn't that exactly what we need? A strife transcending, unattached look upon everyday reality. Kind of a not necessarily a cold eye, but certainly a perspective eye on the situations that we find ourselves in. And do we want to continue on this vein? What can we do? What kind of information do we need? What kind of perspective do we need so that we can overcome the strife that we see to help to utilizing our creative imagination to change our lives and then change others' lives through the power of co-creation with spirit, really, right? All right, let's take a look at the next thing. This is the Mars trine Saturn. And we can see here, here's Mars at 3 degrees of Cancer, and Saturn at 3 degrees of Pisces. So it says here, this is the third of 3. The first occurred on September 28, 2022. That was a 43.7 vibration. That's the 3 of Cups. It's also located in Bina on the Tree of Life, which is on the side of the future, the feminine side of the tree. The second occurred on 11/28, November 28th of 2022. That's a 45.9. That's located in Gabura. That is the 5 of Cups in the tarot. Gabura is the place of instant karma, but it's also on the side of the tree that's associated with the future. And when you have things on that side of the tree, it's important to know that you really create your future in your present moment, and very often you can't really plan more than 3 months ahead of time when we're working with that side of the tree, because what you're doing now matters so much. And also 45.9 is the and Gabura is the place of instant karma. So both of these, though, however, different numbers, different days, were at the same degree, 20 degrees of Aquarius and Gemini. Now we come to, and let's see, let's just, I have the book here. We have a little bit of time. So we had Mars at 20 degrees of Gemini, and let me read what 20 degrees of Gemini is in my book here. So remember, this is a trine. This is a flow between this, what I'm going to read now, and the next symbol. Okay. 20. Says a modern cafeteria displays an abundance of food, products of various regions, the assimilation of multifarious knowledge through the synthesizing power of the mind. And the keynote here is indeed assimilation. And this is trine 20 degrees of Aquarius, where Saturn was. And in the relationship between Saturn and Mars, Saturn is the director here. So let's see what Saturn said at that degree, 20 degrees. A large white dove bearing a message. The answer is spiritual agencies through sustained and victorious individual efforts. The individual has gone courageously and with indomitable spirit through his crucial crisis, receives, as it were, a deep spiritual blessing from the soul realm. Mission accomplished. Peace be with you. And in this blessing, a secret prophecy of what is yet to come may seem to be the perspicacious and spiritually sensitive mind of the recipient. Every real spiritual step a man takes in his development is the result of a victory over forces of inertia or destruction. And the key word here is certification of individual worth and victory. So that was the trine symbols. Now we have the two symbols with the in the water signs, right? Mars at 3 degrees of Cancer. A man bundled up in furs leads a shaggy deer. The need to overcome stagnation and cold during a trial of endurance. Trine. Saturn at 3 degrees of Pisces. Petrified tree trunks lie broken on the desert sand. The keynote here is the power to preserve records on their achievements, which is inherent in fully matured cultures. So this speaks of what it speaks to me as of the things that remain true, the things that remain in alignment with the great achievements, right? The great achievements, or the path to great achievement. It takes commitment. It takes a willingness to sacrifice. It really just takes, to some extent, a willingness to suffer, but to be able to overcome and move through this difficult period, whether it be this man with the shaggy deer with all his furs on because he's like up in the Arctic somewhere, or it's the idea of the petrified tree is it's about record keeping. So that's the energy here with this trine, and it is a creative, self-expressive trine. And then lastly, let's look at Venus conjunct Uranus. Now remember, Venus recently conjuncted the North Node. She moved into Taurus and she conjunct the North Node. And of course, with Uranus in Taurus, Venus in Taurus, the conjunction happening in Taurus at 17 degrees of Taurus, and it says the symbolic battle between swords and torches. The keynote here is refusing to depend upon the past. The seeker turns warrior, fighting anew the eternal great war. It says when Gautama, that's the Buddha, having sought in vain for the answers to his questions among the teachers of tradition, he sat under the Bodhi tree. He had to fight his own battle in his own way, even though it is an eternal fight. The spiritual light within the greater soul must struggle against the ego-centered, the ego will that only knows how to use the powers of this material and intellectual world. There is no possibility of escape. It is the energy that arises out of the present moment, the inescapable now, that the daring individual has to use in his struggle. The second stage symbol suggests that salvation is attained through the emergent individual's readiness to face all the issues as if they were only two opposed sides. So teaches the Bhagavad Gita. This is the dharma of this stage of human evolution, a stage of polarization of values. So this is a willingness to surrender to soul, or a willingness to sort of hold on to your values. We do have quite a battle ahead, I must say, in my estimation anyway. And let me just stop this here so we can talk. Pluto in Aquarius, this little dip that Pluto makes in Aquarius will probably show us to a certain extent anyway what lies ahead and what's at stake. And it's important to keep the vision to stand to a certain extent your metaphysical ground, as it was, to hold in your mind's eye the power of, you know, that conjunction between Jupiter and Mercury, to utilize the knowledge that has come before, but not necessarily allowing it to hold us back from what is true and what needs to be done. So there is knowledge that's available to us. And there's just a lot to say. I mean, or not even say anything at this point. But it has been a very interesting month. And for me, I knew that it was going to be a challenging month with the changes that were coming, but I was excited about them because I felt as though we were getting a taste of what life could be if we open up and stay aligned with our highest purpose. And I think it comes down to how we choose to live our lives, the choices that we make. We have people in power. We often feel powerless to do anything to change what we're seeing going on. But in fact, we do have power, and we have people power. Politically, we have people power, but personally, we have the power of co-creation with spirit and aligning with our own soul. And so we will, and so we do, and so we shall. And I look forward to checking out what's going on in April with you. And I want to thank all of my new subscribers. I want to thank my old subscribers. I want to thank you all who give me the time and listen to what I have to say. You could listen to any number of people. I know that. And hopefully what I say sparks something in you or helps you to see something you didn't see before. Maybe a healing, maybe just information, or maybe just a good joke to make you laugh. So I don't have a joke right now. I wish I did. Nope, no joke. No joke. All right, guys, have a wonderful week. Be careful out there. Yeah, it's spring here in the Northern Hemisphere, so I'm enjoying that finally. And we'll see you again next month for the Astrology Kabbalah of April 2023. Until then, take care, everyone. Namaste.